Ask your question, Councilman.
Can you state your name, please?
Catherine Fox?
And Ms. Fox, do you know Lynlee Renick?
Yes.
And did you know Ben Renick?
Yes.
How did you know them?
I babysat their children.
About how long did you babysit for them?
Approximately 5 years.
And did you babysit on a regular basis for them?
Yes.
About how often would you say?
Typically about once a week.
I'm sorry, say that again?
About once a week.
Do you have any idea what they were out doing when you were babysitting?
Sometimes they would watch a movie, sometimes they would go out to eat, shopping, different things.
Just kind of like a date night,
Yeah.
two of them. And were you asked to babysit on June 8th of 2017?
Yes.
Do you have any idea where they were going that night?
I do not.
What time were you supposed to be there on the 8th?
Around 6.
Around 6 o'clock
Yes.
initially?
Yes, I believe so.
At some point, did you receive some messages from Lynlee Renick?
Yes.
And were those text messages?
They were text messages and then later a phone call.
May I approach it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna show
You know what, from now on, that's a good, you all don't have to ask me to approach, just go up there and
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to show you what have been marked States Exhibits 100 through 104. Can you just flip through those and tell me if you recognize them?
Yes.
And are those photographs of your telephone?
Yes.
Are they fair and accurate?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move to admit States Exhibits 100 through 104.
any objection? Who's doing it? You doing this, Mr. Hessman? Okay, 100 through 104 for the state be admitted.
Judge, is that off? Because I have a photograph up here that's not actually admitted yet. Before I get to that,
The screen. Sorry about that.
What do you want to do?
I need to switch in the PowerPoint to the appropriate exhibit, and before I do,
Just for her to see it?
yes,
And it's not 100 or through 104?
correct.
Okay, let me see if I
I need to move there. Is what I need to do.
Okay, just a minute.
I think he has to turn it also.
Okay, so you all ought to be able to see it. You ought to be able to see it, and she can see it, and I can see it. Okay?
Okay, perfect.
Right? There's nothing, I can't see that TV. There's nothing on that, right? Okay. All right.
We're good, Judge. If you want to turn it on.
Well, you didn't. What is this?
That's States Exhibit 100.
100? Okay. So that's admitted. Is it on there now? Okay.
Ms. Fox, can you see that? What's
Yes.
in front of you? That's States Exhibit 100. Can you tell us what we're looking at?
It's a screenshot from my phone that has Lynlee Renick's contact information.
And then 101. What is that?
It's the same thing, it just has her mobile number on that one.
102. Can you tell us what that is?
But yeah, that is a screenshot of text between Lynlee and myself.
And those are between May 26th and June 5th. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then 103. Is that more text between yourself and Lynlee Renick?
Yes, ma'am.
And if you look at the bottom, there's a text there from June 8th of 2017, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And it indicates that she's running late and asking you to show up at 5:45 instead of 5:30.
Yes.
And I believe earlier you testified you thought you were supposed to show up at 6. Does this refresh your recollection?
It does, yes.
So what time do you believe you were supposed to be there actually?
I was supposed to be there at 5:30.
And then at 5:15 she texts you and says, hey, can you show up
Yes.
at 5:45 instead? And then 104. This is more text messages between you and Lynlee?
Yes.
And obviously you agree to show up at 5:45?
Yes.
And then the next message is the following day, you extended your sympathies. Is that after you learned that Ben was deceased?
Yes.
After you got the text message at 5:15 asking you to show up at 5:45 instead of 5:30, did you hear from Ms. Renick again?
Yes.
And was that by a phone call?
Yes.
What did she say?
She had just said that she could not reach Ben. She was not sure why. And I believe there were 2 phone calls. And the first one I think was pushing back just a little bit more. And then the last phone call was asking me to not come at all.
Was asking you to not come at all? I have nothing further.
Okay, Cross.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Fox, you and I have never met, right?
No.
All right. Now, I want to talk to you about when Lynlee pushed back the babysitting. Okay? She pushed it back at 5:15. Is that correct?
Yes.
She said, I'm running late getting home, so can you come at like 5:46?
Yes.
So she first texted you to push it back after 5.
Yes.
Then she canceled around 5:48.
Yes.
Both of those messages were after 5 o'clock p.m.
Yes.
Are you from Montgomery County?
Yes.
How long have you lived in Montgomery County?
My whole entire life, so 29 years.
Okay. You babysat for the Renicks?
Yes.
Did you do anything else with the Renicks socially?
No.
Was all your time with the Renicks spent babysitting their kids?
Yes.
And what are their kids' names?
Matthew and Emma.
And it was usually Lynlee that talked to you about babysitting, correct?
It would vary. Sometimes Ben would as well.
Asking you to babysit Matthew and Emma was not out of the ordinary.
No.
You babysat for them about every week
Yes.
for 5 years.
Yes.
So if there's, I don't know, 45 weeks in a year, you would have been over to their house hundreds of times.
Yes.
You would have been around Maddie and Emma hundreds of times.
Yes.
What was it like to babysit for Maddie and Emma?
It was good.
What did you guys do together?
We would watch TV, play games, play outside. If they had schoolwork, I'd help them with it.
And what were their kids? And what were Lynlee and Ben's kids like?
They were good kids.
And you genuinely cared for Lynlee and Ben.
Yes.
In fact, Maddie made a comment that you're one of their family.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you were one of their family?
Yes.
Have you ever seen Lynlee, Catherine, be violent?
No.
Was she ever around guns?
I don't know.
I mean, did you ever see her with guns?
No.
She didn't like guns, did she?
Well, I do know that at one point she had went target practicing because we had an incident in Montgomery County, and she had posted on Facebook that she had been on a gun range.
But you never saw, there were never any guns in the house, were there?
Not that I was aware of.
Okay. And her kids weren't violent?
No.
And she wasn't violent?
No.
And she might have shot at a paper target, but she never was violent with any kind of guns, right?
I can't say for sure.
You've known her for 5 years. You've been over to her house hundreds of times, right?
I was, but
Now, after you sent her, after Ben was killed, what did you say to Lynlee?
I said that I was very sorry and that my heart broke for her and the children.
You wouldn't have said that if you thought she killed Ben, would you?
No, but I didn't know what was going on.
Now, the day after Ben died, an investigator came and talked to you, right?
Yes.
And you were cooperative with him.
Yes.
And he said, you've got my number. If you ever have any information that you think I might know, You can call me. He told you that, right?
Yes.
Did you ever call that officer?
No, I had no information.
But you did have information, Catherine, right?
I had nothing other than what I gave him the first night he interviewed
You
me.
knew this woman for 5 years. You were in her home. You saw her kids. You saw what they did. You saw what was in the house. You saw how they lived. You knew a lot. Didn't you?
I only knew that.
I'm sorry?
I only knew that. I only knew just what I knew in their house.
You didn't even tell the police that you were suspicious of her, that she did this, right?
No, at that time I had no idea.
Eventually, you had a conversation with the prosecutor. You went to the prosecutor's office in Jefferson City, right?
No.
Were you ever interviewed by a police officer in preparation for this trial or Michael Humphrey's trial?
I did have one meeting in preparation for Michael Humphrey's trial.
And they asked you what they told you, what questions that they were going to ask you?
They just gave me just a basic rundown, but there was not very much information.
Okay. Did they call Lynlee a manipulator?
No.
Did they call Lynlee a killer?
No.
Now, I've asked you some questions about Lynlee's past today, right?
Yes.
If she was ever violent and things like that.
Yes.
And I think what your testimony is you never witnessed her be violent at all. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Did the police ever ask you those questions?
They ask some general questions, yeah.
Did the police ever try to figure out what Lynlee Renick was really like?
I can't say for sure.
Did they ever ask you about her kids? Or what she was like around her kids?
I mean, we did talk a little bit in the interview, yes, about them.
A little bit?
Yeah.
They never asked you about what Lynlee Renick's interests were, did they?
No.
They didn't care what Lynlee Renick was like, right?
I can't say.
I have no further questions.
Redirect.
Ms. Fox, I believe you just testified that you did not believe Lynlee Renick was a violent person. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Has your opinion changed?
Yes.
Nothing further, Judge.
Any recall?
Yes. It changed because of things you heard in trials, right?
Yes.
Not because of anything that happened before the arrest and all of that, correct?
No.
Okay, no further questions.
Nothing further.
May this witness be finally excused?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am. You can step down and finally excused. Is that okay with you too?